Hello, it's me, malameurtheninja, now including voice in my presentations, and I bring you the top 10 dungeons from Zelda, in my opinion that is. At number 10 we have level 1 from the original Legend of Zelda. It's a momentous dungeon because it's the first dungeon in the first Zelda game. Most people refer to it as Eagle Labyrinth, but I like to call it level 1 just because it sounds cooler. It houses the bow and the boomerang, and is the lair of Aquamythus, also in my top 10 bosses presentation. At number 9 we have the Palace of Darkness from A Link to the Past. The Palace of Darkness is the first dungeon in the Dark World. I thought this was a great dungeon because of the use of the hammer inside the dungeon to solve the many puzzles. Also, the boss at the end, the Helmasaur King, also mentioned in my top 10 bosses presentation, was a very admirable foe indeed. At number 8 we have the Wing Dungeon from Oracle of Ages. I really love this dungeon because of the use of the 2D plane. And also, you find Rock's Feather in here, which I'm considering putting in my top 10 items presentation, but I'm not sure yet. It allows you to jump, which is pretty rare in the Legend of Zelda series, but not a very uncommon factor. And also, the boss at the end, Hethwomp, also in my top 10 bosses presentation, was a fun foe to fight using Rock's Feather and bombs. At number 7 we have the Goron Mines from Twilight Princess. I think this is a well thought out dungeon, seeing as how you have to use the iron boots on the magnetic walls and ceilings to get to places. The treasure in here is the hero's bow, and the boss is the Twilight Igniter Virus. A very fun boss, seeing as how you have to yank his chain. Ha 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 ha. Funny. Here at number 6 we have the Fire Temple from Ocarina of Time. I thought this was a really cool dungeon, seeing as how it's the first dungeon in the game where you have to use a different tunic to survive. And it's where you find the Megaton Hammer, which is the first use of a 3D Zelda game hammer. Also, the boss here, Volvagia, isn't really a boss, more of a big game of whack-a-mole. At number 5 we have the Stone Tower Temple from Majora's Mask. I thought this was a very cool dungeon, seeing as how you have to implement the Elegy of Emptiness to enter it, and inside you find the light arrows, which helps you invert it. Yes, invert the temple. Here we find the light arrows, which I could just mention, and the Giant's Mask, which is definitely recommended to fight Twin Mold, the boss, and restore peace to Akena Canyon. At number 4 we have Turtle Rock from A Link to the Past. I really love this dungeon, seeing as how you use the Cane of Samaria to make platforms to travel upon, and inside you find the Mirror Shield, which is used to block the lasers the eyes on the wall shoot at you so you can actually get past them. The boss, Trinex, was a very unique boss, seeing as how you had to use the Ice Rod and the Fire Rod to defeat him. And let's go on. At number 3 we have the City in the Sky from Twilight Princess. This was a great dungeon, seeing as how here you get a second claw shot. That's right, not one, but 2 claw shots at your arsenal. Use it to traverse the dungeon where you finally fight the boss, the Twilight Dragon Artorok. Here, where you have to latch onto his tail using said claw shots, and use the iron boots to bring him down and slay him. We're almost done. Here at number 2 we have the Spirit Temple from Ocarina of Time. This is a very unique dungeon, seeing as how in this dungeon you actually have to travel back in time to where you were a kid again. Go get the Silver Gauntlets. Go forward in time again, and come back and complete the rest of the dungeon. Here you find the Mirror Shield, which is implemented in a great way of reflecting sunlight to solve puzzles. At the end of the dungeon you fight Twin Rova, whose spells you have to block back at them, since they're both combined, and defeat Twin Rova once and for all. Now before we get to the number 1, I have a couple of honorable mentions I want to show you. I mean, they were really good dungeons and all, but they just didn't fit in on my top 10, but they'll always have a special place in my heart. My first honorable mention is the Tower of Hero from A Link to the Past. I thought it was a great dungeon and all, and the item of the dungeon, the Moon Pearl, which stopped you from turning into that dumb rabbit thing in the Dark World, was cool, but what stopped it from being put in my top 10 was the boss, Moldorm, the most annoying boss in the game, seeing as how if he knocks you off you have to start the boss battle all over again. My second and last honorable mention would be the Temple of Droplets from the Minish Cap. I thought it was a pretty cool dungeon, seeing as how you had to enter by going through a crack in the ice at Lake Hylia. But the one thing I did not like about it was the icy floors. I always hated icy floors, but I really liked the dungeon as a whole, It's just the icy floors kind of ruined it for me. Here it is, the moment you've all been waiting for. But wait, you've seen some pretty good dungeons so far, but what do you think the number 1 is? Oh boy, get ready to be surprised. That's right, my number 1 is the Tower of the Gods from the Wind Waker. Let's face it, this dungeon was really, really awesome. Seeing as how you had to go inside with the King of Red Lions, and use the King of Red Lions to get to platforms. And you also find the Hero Bow in here, which is a really awesome weapon, of course. And you have to use the controlling song to use statues to your will, so you can go to a higher floor. And, there's something I'm missing. Oh yes! The mini-boss battle with the Dark Nut. That's really momentous when I played the game my first time, because I was pretty intimidated by it, seeing as how this is a toon cel-shaded game. And also the Dark Nut's mentioned in my top 5 mini-bosses. Plus the boss, Godon, he shot out arrows from his nose for you. What's cooler than that? Plus, the Tower of the Gods was the key to the Hyrule. And so, as you all know, my presentation comes to an end. And here's one of my awesome collages that I always make at the end of my presentations. Please just enjoy it. You know you want to. Thank you for watching, and please rate and comment the video. Tell me what your top 10 dungeons are. And please, subscribe if you want to see any more top Zelda things in my series. Again, thanks for watching, and see you later.